Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Monday, 17 November. I am your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about reports of explosions in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Trump has called on Republicans to vote to release the Epstein files, and Ecuador voters have rejected a referendum to bring back US military bases. So firstly, this is coming from about 10 minutes ago, according to this news source. But local media reports have said there's been explosions of crude bombs in Dhaka. This included one in front of the house of an advisor, the equivalent to a cabinet minister in Bangladesh on Sunday. Other crude bombs have been set off across Dhaka and elsewhere in Bangladesh over the past week. They are mainly petrol bombs thrown at everything from buildings linked to governments of the interim leader to buses and other Christian sites. So what? It seems pretty mixed as to what this actually means, whether this is an actual explosive device or someone throwing a petrol bomb. What is kind of clear is that Bangladesh is currently in a bit of chaos. So it seems like people who supported the former leader, the one who got overthrown in the Gen Z right, which I made a video on last night. Make sure you go check it out over on the HM Intelligence YouTube channel. Cheers. The people who supported the interim leader, the former leader who came into power, Hasina, people who supported her are currently protesting because the interim government isn't any better I think that's kind of what it comes down to. And the protests are getting more and more violent, similar to what we saw last year, which led up to her evacuating the country and the ousting of her government. But yeah, seems like violence is increasing, which is not what you want to be seeing. But yeah, hopefully things can settle down. What they need to do is have another election and bring in someone who is voted for. I think that's the best way forward. But, for that to happen, there needs to be some resolve from the last government, which is kind of what this is all around. As they're awaiting a verdict to see if she'll be charged with anything. Now she's not in power. One of the charges she's facing is crimes against humanity. Jesus. Due to all the people that were killed during that revolution last year. Anyway, and next, US President Donald Trump has said the Republicans in the House of Representatives should vote to release all documents relating to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It is a rare example of Trump backtracking because of opposition within his own Republican Party. He said on Truth Social on Sunday that House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. It's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetrated by the radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party, he wrote. So what? I agree with him that they should vote to release the files. But it's pretty interesting to see him flip here. I think the general consensus was that he was definitely had some pretty incriminating stuff in these files, which is why he wanted everyone to just shut up and stop talking about it. However, in a rare break from his support, not even his supporters agreed with his stance on this, and almost everyone wanted the reports to be released. So I guess he saw the writing on the wall, and now he wants them all to be released. It's interesting, yeah. If it now comes out and there's nothing that talks about him, I don't know if people will buy it. I think this might be an issue of he's damned if he does, he damned if he don't. Because if he does release the files and he's not in it, I don't think many people believe that that's true. And if he doesn't release them, then people just continue to think that he's in them. So I think he might be in a bit of political trouble here. But it's unlikely to lead to anything significant. Yeah, it's just bad press for him that the Democrats are loving. And lastly, Ecuador's voters have seemingly rejected the proposal to allow the return of foreign military bases to help the South American nation combat drug cartels. Just over 60% of the voters said no to the measure, according to a partial count with 80% of the votes counted. The president of the country said on X that we respect the will of the Ecuadorian people, and that they showed on this vote. The question about foreign military bases was one of our 4 proposed in the referendum on Sunday. Other questions posed to voters concerned ending public funding for political parties, reducing the number of lawmakers, and creating an elected body that would draft a new constitution. A vote no would be a major blow to Noba, who was seeking popular support for his war on drugs through stricter laws and greater executive power. So what? I don't think the US will like this, though it's a bit of a weird place. I don't know. I'd say the US were pretty keen to try and get in there and put a military base in there to combat the flow of drugs, with all their big talk about trying to combat the flow of drugs in recent months. But yeah, okay, that's interesting. This doesn't really change much. The US probably won't be happy. They'll have to just continue living on boats out at sea for this counter drug operation. But this is also not that significant in their pressure on Venezuela. So I don't know. I think they'll be fine about it. Good on Ecuador for doing a referendum for it rather than just the government deciding what they're going to do. I think that's a good way of doing it. Well done. Now you've just got to stick to your word because, sometimes people don't agree with referendums and they just fucking do their own thing. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But anyway, that's been your Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you.